ادخل على ايميلك، شايف في مكتوب اللي هو البلاتفورم، اكبس عليه
Hi, hello to everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Yes.
Yes. Good morning. I ask to everybody to get off the phone and the audio, and let's open the video just for the speakers. So welcome to our side event. Just few words before the start of the official speeches. As I said, I please everybody to get off the microphone and the video, and if someone wants to make some questions, there will be some place at the end of the official speeches, and you can write your question or your observation on the chat, and we will give you the floor after the speeches. So I think it's time to start, and I give the floor to Giorgio Zampetti, the General Director of Legambiente.
Okay, thank you, Elisa. Okay, I think that we can start. Thanks to Elisa, that is from our scientific office, and Elisa is the coordinator for Legambiente of all our activities about marine litter and our international and national project about Mediterranean Sea, and I'm very glad to present today this side event. Elisa is in Lisbon in this moment to participate to the second Ocean Conference, and Cristina Foss is in Lisbon too, because Legambiente and the University of Siena are together in this conference, because we start to work together to the first conference that was in New York in 2017, and we start together with the commitment that we presented in that occasion. This commitment is a commitment about scientific research in the Mediterranean Sea about marine litter and awareness activities. So we put together the experience of University of Siena about scientific research, and also the knowledge, the big knowledge and very important knowledge about the problem of marine litter in the Mediterranean Sea from the University of Siena, and we put together the action of Legambiente, that is an environmentalist organization that works about marine litter in Italy. And we put together these two different roles from Legambiente and the University of Siena, and we start to work together. So I'm very glad that today we can present in this side event the main results of this work that we starting together. But we are very glad also that we can present you a lot of projects and different actions that we made with the other partner and the other speakers that today is going to intervene in this side event. So I just give the floor for first speech to Cristina, and then Cristina will do also an intervent later. Okay.
Thank you very much, Giorgio, and thank you for all of you to be attended to this side event. Thank you, Giorgio, for your very kind words. I would like just to say that it's a great pleasure and honor to be here today all together, especially in this very, I think, empathic side of the Ocean Conference, because we strongly believe that the commitment that we signed at least 5 years ago in New York is completely achieved with some of the main projects that we are working in the last 5 years. We have obtained at the moment support to realize our achievement in terms of connection between science, awareness raising, and also support the governance at the Mediterranean level, at least in 4 different projects, support at the European level, such as common plastic buster NPAs and plastic buster cap, plus another important project at the national level. It's the life on the problem of sustainable aquaculture. So as I said before, in a personal conversation with some of you, we realized that also this conference, one of the main goals will be try to understand and how minimize the impact of marine litter at the ocean level. So we strongly believe that the activity that we have realized in the last 5 years are completely in line with this goal of the conference and the SDG 14. So thank you very much to be here, and I would like to give the floor again to Giorgio to introduce the first speaker.
Thank you, Christina. And the third promoter of this event of tomorrow morning is UFM. There is Alessandra Sensi, that is head of environmental sector from UFM. I think it's very important because one of the main problems at Mediterranean level that we have is that there are a lot of countries, about 42 or 43 countries, that is the sea countries of Mediterranean, and we have also different legislation, different policies about marine litter. So one of the main topics of tomorrow, of today, sorry, is to improve and to share proposals to practice a common policy about marine litter at Mediterranean level. And it's very important because I think that during the Ocean Conference, it's very important also to speak about Mediterranean Sea, because this little sea is little in front of the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, is a very important area because it's one of the main hotspots by the biodiversity, but at the same time is also one of the main is also one of the most polluted zone by marine litter and microplastics. So it's very important to put together experiences and also policies to find a solution of marine litter. And this is also our main objective, because we are working at national and international level as Legambiente. We started a lot of campaign because we started at the end of 2018 to promote campaign in the Italian seas about the quality of water, and we also starting about 20 years ago to promote campaign about beaches and waste on the beaches. And we started with this campaign at Italian but also at international level with a big campaign that is called Clean Up the Med. That is the first campaign that engaging volunteers from all the different countries that stay on the Mediterranean Sea. And after these 20 years, we can say that we try to put together all these countries, and we also try from the bottom to put together the policies and also good practice to promote a common action to reduce marine litter. But now it's very important that also government, also the institutional part, do do the right steps to enforce this common policy. So today is a very important event just to match together the different point of view, but also the different policies that we are putting on the different country at Mediterranean level, and also to understand which could be the common action that we have to do. About this morning, we start with some speakers from the European Commission, UFM, and also from the different institution that is working this moment about Mediterranean and especially about Maritime and Mediterranean Sea. And then we will have a second session that is regarding the research and science about Maritime at Mediterranean level. So I think that we can have all the useful contribution about this issue. Okay, so now I'm going to start to giving the floor to Claudia Pecoraro, that is Policy Officer Health and the Ocean and Seas Unit from European Commission. Thanks to Claudia to be here, and I give the floor to you for your speech.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Giorgio, for these kind words and also for the invitation. I really appreciate this invitation in relation to the science and awareness to build the Mediterranean network against marine litter. Indeed, this is extremely important because science without awareness cannot work. And it is extremely important to raise awareness on one of the main challenges that our mission, restore our ocean waters by 2030, is going to tackle. In the next slide, I represent what are the objectives of the mission. In the next slide, you can see the main objective. The mission restore our ocean and waters as the aim to restore marine freshwaters ecosystem biodiversity. The second objective is to prevent and eliminate pollution. Indeed, the main issue that we are discussing today. And the third one is to make the blue economy carbon neutral and circular. Each of the objective has a specific target. The first one, in relation to the biodiversity, for instance, aims to protect at least 30% and strictly protect 10% of used sea areas. The second objective, the pollution, aims to reduce by at least 50% plastic litter. And the third objective, just to give you an example, aim to make the low carbon multi-purpose use of marine space. But these three objectives are accompanied by two important enablers. The first one is the ocean waters knowledge, digital ocean waters knowledge system known as DTO. And the second one is the public mobilization and engagement. Again, the science and raise awareness must go together. In the next slide, I show how the mission will work. The mission has set up 4 lighthouses. Each lighthouses is based in specific territorial areas. A geographic area. For instance, we have the Baltic North Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, the Danube River Basin, and the Atlantic Arctic coast. Each of the 4 lighthouses are linked to one of the 3 objectives that I just described. The Mediterranean Sea has come as an objective to prevent and eliminate pollution of our ocean, sea, and waters. But what are these lighthouses and how they work? The lighthouses are space of transformation to pilot, demonstrate, develop, and deploy the mission activities across the EU. In the next slide, I show specifically how the Mediterranean Lighthouse, which is linked, as I said, to the objective to prevent and eliminate pollution, will work. As you could see in the next slide, I just introduced the targets just for you to know exactly what are the specific targets of these lighthouses of the Mediterranean. The main objective is to reduce the plastic litter and the microplastic, but also to reduce by at least 50% the nutrient losses, the use and risk of chemical pesticides. This is shown in the next slide. I don't know if you are seeing the next slide on the Mediterranean lighthouses, but just for you to know. We as a European Commission, first of all, let me explain that the mission Restore Our Oceans and Waters start as is rooted at on R&I, but it goes beyond the research and innovation program, beyond the Horizon Europe. So in the next slide on the mission work program, I explain to you what the European Commission has done in terms of funds for the Mediterranean Sea bases. In the previous work program, 2021, the topic was on the Mediterranean basis lighthouse to prevent and eliminate plastic pollution. The call has been already evaluated, therefore it's closed. But in the second work program, 2022, there is still a topic which is open to prevent and minimize the chemical pollution. Because as I explained before, on the Mediterranean lighthouses, the focus is pollution, first one on plastic and second on chemical. So for the plastic, the work program 2021 has been focused on this specific topic, while in 2022 we are, and the call is still open on the chemical pollution. So this is to tell you how the European Commission has contributed as a start point of starting, but the mission again is going beyond this. And in the next slide, it's probably, I don't know, because no, it's the next one still, no, next, because I have already discussed about this. Yeah, here, I would like to emphasize that the role of the mission is to contribute, to enhance synergies, to avoid the overlappings. So if we starting from R&I, then we need to consider other different EU programs, not only Horizon Europe, but MFAF, LIFE, Interreg, Invest, in order to enhance the synergies towards the objective of the mission. But also we need to align a program, national, regional programs, initiative, partnership at national, regional level. It is important also the international dimension and to enhance the synergies with the international partners. Here we have Alessandra Sensi from OFM, but also we need to consider other international alliances, the UN Decade Ocean Sciences, for instance. It's important also to enhance synergies with the public and private sector and with citizens in youth, who are the main actors of the mission, and they can play an important role. In the next slide, I just briefly explain you how these lighthouses will work. The first part, 2021-2024, is dedicated to development and piloting phase of the mission lighthouses. In the second phase, 2025-2030, is more the deployment, the upscaling phase of the lighthouses. And in the next slide, I show how the the mission is supported by baseline studies, which are ongoing now, and highlight the main gaps in the different lighthouses. I have mentioned the synergies among, with the all projects and initiatives apart from the Horizon program, but including other programs. We have the coordination support actions, the so-called the CSA. I briefly gave the example of the Mediterranean CSA in the different work program 2021-2022. And we will have the mission implementation platform, which has more a role of advisory support. In the next slide, I would like to highlight the important tool linked to the mission on ocean waters. The mission charter. The mission charter will be launched on Thursday, 30 June in Lisbon, where I am, to make like a commitment, a joint commitment to restore our ocean waters. Why we have this charter, why we are thinking about a mission charter? Because it provides a sense of ownership. It allows to join forces to drive the change at local level. It enhances a community of practice with cooperation to deliver on the mission objectives. And it is important to highlight the fact that this mission charter is not binding, is not a binding engagement, is open to any public or private parties who really are caring about the ocean waters and would like to drive a change. In the next slide, I show you the mission charter actions areas on research and innovation to mobilize programs, instrument, resources, other initiatives to upscaling deployment, the solution to support indeed the innovation ecosystem and the different components on finance, investment, on infrastructures, and also to generate collective knowledge data on maritime biodiversity domain. Again, data science, which should be raised and known, communicate. Another important area is the outreach, the public mobilization. Indeed, once you have the knowledge, you need to communicate and to mobilize all the key actors, including citizens and youth. Also, as I was explaining before, it allows for co-design, a complement, co-create together the actions towards the mission of the to achieve the objective of the mission. In the next slide, I put you the links for our side event in Lisbon, 30 June. If you would like to have more information, you have the links about the mission and the event that we are organizing. I hope that I was in the time limit, and thank you for this invitation again.
Thank you, Claudia. Thank you also for your messages and for this cooperation message that you said at the end of your presentation that I think is very important, and so for your commitment about the 2030 objectives. So now I give the floor to Eleni Atsiani from the DG Mare, from the European Commission, that is also working on about fisheries activities and maritime affairs. And I give you the floor for your speech.
Good morning, and many thanks from my side as well for inviting DG Mare to this very interesting conference today, and to discuss with you and present how our new approach towards a sustainable blue economy can actually be a driver towards this direction of preventing the marine litter and marine pollution in general. So let me please share with you a couple of slides. Just let me know if you can see my slides.
Yes. Not in a presentation mode, but we can.
Yeah, I think it's coming now as a presentation mode. Is it?
No.
We can see it, but not now. Now
it's fine.
Yes, Lenny. Now
Okay, thank you. So, Digimare last year has published a new communication, which is actually a new approach for a sustainable blue economy in the EU. And this is because what we tried to do with this communication is to face the situation of how dealing with maritime activities in the intersection of environmental sustainability, economic sustainability, and social sustainability as well. As we all know, there is still enormous blue economic growth potential untapped, despite the fact that according to the figures presented in European Commission's reports every year, blue economy sectors are a huge part of the economic activity and a huge part also of the employment in different countries. And actually, that was the picture also presented in the report by the UFM published a couple of months ago. So what we try to do is to align the blue economy priorities in the years to come with the 2030 agenda and the European Green Deal axis in order to support the recovery, to support more sustainable and resilient socioeconomic models. And we identify that in order to do that, we need a more reinforced and a more multi-level and sectorial governance for cooperating all together. In that way, and through this communication, we actually gradually passed from the previous and the first, let's say, published sectoral policies like the common fishery policies on the maritime transport policy, and then coming to the integrated maritime policy and the blue growth as communicated in 2012, now to the new approach towards the sustainability in the maritime sectors. And with this new communication, we try to stress our efforts to transform the blue economy value chains towards the sustainability by, for example, focusing on decarbonization, by exploring the full potential of the offshore renewable energy, the transition to the zero-emission vessels, and how we can transform the ports as hubs for the sustainable development with a clear link with the cities and by, let's say, acting as hubs between the seafront and also the cities and the land, by also focusing on how we can make our coasts more resilient to several challenges, like, for example, the climate challenge, the climate crisis, and how we can better protect the biodiversity, restoring the coastal and marine ecosystems, investing in natural-based solutions in the coast and the seas, and in a few words, see how we can value natural capital by promoting alternative forms of tourism, like, for example, the ecotourism. For the sector of food systems, like, for example, the fisheries and aquaculture, through this new approach, we try to meet the common fishery policy sustainability standards, but also the strategic guidelines for the sustainable aquaculture, very recently also published by the European Commission, and see how we can also develop new forms of aquaculture, like, for example, investing in micro and macroalgae as well. And focusing on circularity, which is an aspect very, very relevant with what we're discussing today, because it's very, very closely related to the efforts on preventing the marine pollution, and in particular eliminating the impact of plastics, by focusing on investing on circular designing, for example, in the field of fisheries, when focusing on the fishing gears and new gears we can develop and new methodologies, but also how to develop recycling facilities, either for the shipping industry or the recreational boats, but also For the offshore platforms, for the wind farms, because also this communication is focusing on developing of marine renewable energies. Speaking closely of marine litter, actually DG Mare together with DG RTD, which is the lead service and was the lead service for the BlueMed pilot activities. We have been involved and we have been aware of very, very good national hubs activities in the concept of this pilot. For example, focusing on monitoring and assessing the marine litter, preventing the marine litter, recycling, promoting the circular approach, but also focusing on how they can raise the awareness of the citizens and of the youth by focusing on education, training, communication, but also relating financing and regulatory issues. And of course, apart from these activities of the BlueMed pilot action, there are also very significant initiatives coming from the UFM. Alessandra will explain more later. Other initiatives, programs like the Plastic Busters and activities in the concept of the sea basin strategies, coming from the LIFE program, also coming from the CPMR in the Mediterranean Commission, the WWF, the PRIMA, and the project like, for example, the Blue Islands project of the Interreg Med program, projects coming from the NECBC Med program, and of course in the concept of the Sustainable Development Goals for the Mediterranean. So a couple of months ago, together with DGRDD and by having this event hosted by Union for Mediterranean in their premises in Barcelona, we co-organized a particular event focusing on how we can stop taking of the BlueMed pilot initiative for a healthy plastic-free Mediterranean, which was the concept of this initiative, towards the Mediterranean Lighthouse for the mission Restoring Our Ocean and Waters, as it has been presented earlier by my colleague from the DGRDD. So the main messages come out from this event was, first of all, that it is vital to have a coordinated action in the Mediterranean by creating consensus among the countries, because we need all together to address the cross-border environmental threats like, for example, the marine pollution. But actually, there is already a very good ground in the Mediterranean for such cooperation. So the cooperation is already at a very mature stage. And this is also because of the fundamental role of the Union for Mediterranean towards our new approach for a sustainable blue economy in the Mediterranean, because in that way we can also integrate the work done by the BlueMed and also the Union for Mediterranean Blue Economy and environmental working groups in order to gather together the Mediterranean stakeholders and see how we explore further synergetic approach. So now, as very clearly presented by my colleague earlier, we need now to go forward to the mission, to the Mediterranean Lighthouse, which can be an enabler for the policymakers, but also for the public and private sectors, the research and academia, and the society. And to this approach, regions and the local communities are very significant stakeholders, because all these solutions and all the projects should have a particular impact, let's say, at a local level. So, as DG Mare, and in this concept, not only the Mediterranean, in general, in the sea basins level, we focus on the frameworks of the cooperation. Clearly, at the Mediterranean level, through the Union for Mediterranean, as I explained before, but also through the sea basin strategies. As we know, in the Mediterranean, there is a specific sea basin strategy, the WestMed initiative for the western part of the region. But also we focus on the macro-regional cooperation, and in the case of the Mediterranean, on the European strategy of Adriatic-Ionian macro-region, which has a specific pillar on the blue growth, but also a specific pillar on environmental protection, which is also very closely related to the protection of the environment, the circularity approach, and the prevention of the marine litter. So we can explore, let's say, cross-sectorial aspects of how we can boost our efforts together towards this direction. And also, it has been already stressed, but let me recall it again, that in the Mediterranean, we need to focus on the cooperation among the European countries, but also the Southern Mediterranean countries. And this is very well, let's say, promoted and worked towards this direction through the Union for the Mediterranean. But also, we have also the new agenda for the Mediterranean for let's say, Southern Partnerships, which has highlighted the sustainable approach for the development in the Mediterranean by cooperation through the northern and the southern shore, and which is stock taking of the Union for Mediterranean second ministerial declaration on blue economy adopted last year, and also the WestMed initiative for the western part of the basin. So in order to achieve all that, we do not only focus on synergies on a geographical level among different initiatives and frameworks of cooperation, but we also focus on synergies between financial frameworks and between different financial tools. Blue Invest is one of them, as this specific financial tool is focusing on supporting the private sector, and in particular the small and medium enterprises, for implementing innovative projects in the fields of the blue economy. The European Maritime, Fisheries and Aquaculture Fund, which is dedicated to the implementation, to giving opportunities for the implementation of projects for sustainable blue economy aligned with the priorities of the European Green Deal. Of course, the mission on restore our ocean and waters, and I won't get into detail because my colleague has presented in detail all this opportunity for the countries. And also, speaking of interregional cooperation and investments on an innovative approach, the new financial tool, which is called Interregional Investment Instrument, I3, which is focusing on engaging the quadruple helix of innovation, which means the private sector, the public sector, the research at academia, and the citizens, to cooperate together, create partnership in the concept of the smart specialization process. And in that concept, we have managed as DG Mare to let's say, include priorities relevant with blue economy sectors to this specific financial instrument. So there is an opportunity for the regions to cooperate together to create proposals and have hopefully new project for these domains. Actually, there is still now a call open with a deadline of October, so all the regions which are interested can cooperate, creating a partnership. Speaking of innovation and blue economy, DG Mare, in cooperation with DG Regio, we are working together to set up a new thematic platform on sustainable blue economy in order to promote the innovation and investments in interregional partnership and value chains. And this thematic platform will be the fourth one. As you probably know, there are already 3 existing thematic platforms for smart specialization, one on agri-food, the second one on industrial modernization, and the third one on energy. So now we will create another one on blue economy, having the approach as presented before, exploring synergies on a sea basin and macro-regional level, but also synergies with different financial frameworks as I presented before. And that platform will be open to all the countries, organizations, regions from either European or non-European countries, exactly how the concept is for the other thematic smart specialization platforms. For us, it is crucial that we mobilize the stakeholders towards this direction. And that is why we have started organizing, and we have already organized 4 of them, brokerage events on 5 topics, which have been identified by more of 40 regions around Europe as high in their agendas and their strategies of smart specialization. The blue biotechnology, the marine and renewable energies, the coastal and maritime tourism, the aquaculture, and the fisheries. 4 of those events have already organized. And actually, it is clear that most of them, or let's say all of them, are relevant to what we are discussing today, because, for example, in the fields of blue biotechnology, we have the opportunities to look for new methodologies for, let's say, circular approaches or reusing, recycling, reusing the waste or other applications. Same also for the marine and renewable energies, because this is, let's say, focusing on decarbonization, but also on the fields of coastal maritime tourism and also on aquaculture. And to give you some examples, for example, in the first brokerage workshop we organized, focusing on blue biotechnologies, bioplastics, dealing with farming waste materials, circularity were highlighted as very, very interested for the participants in the concept of how they approach this sector for new innovative project. But that was the case also for the aquaculture event organized here in Brussels, because definitely recycling and reusing the waste of coming from aquaculture is a crucial way when dealing for preventing the marine pollution. And in the field of coastal and maritime tourism, the circularity, digitalization, and the ecotourism found to be in the agenda of the interesting topics raised, and those are very, very closely related also of the prevention on marine litter. So thank you very much for your attention, and of course I am at your disposal if you need more clarifications, more details, or at a later stage contact me or my colleagues for more contribution. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Helene, also for this hard work and very difficult work to realize a public policy at Mediterranean level. So thank you very much for your work, also for your presentation. Now I give the floor to Alessandra Sensi for Union for Mediterranean. I want to thank Alessandra because Union for Mediterranean is one of the co-organizers of this event. But I want to thank Alessandra also because UFM was one of the most important institutional subject that believe in Legambiente and also in the action that Legambiente is doing at the Mediterranean level. So we find in UFM a very important partner for our activities. And for an NGO, find a partner as a Union for Mediterranean is very, very important. Also is strategic for our action, because we are a national organization, but we want to work at an international level. And in this moment, it's possible thanks to Union for Mediterranean and also other subjects. But I think that Union for Mediterranean is the first organization that believe in Legambiente. So thanks very much, Alessandra, and we give the floor to you in this moment to speak about the promoting regional cooperation at Mediterranean in the Mediterranean Sea.
Thank you very much, Giorgio, and thank you very much, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today. And let me start actually by the words that you just mentioned. I mean, why are we here? Indeed, you know, the UFM is based on a multi-stakeholder partnership, and we thought and believed that it was especially important to be here with you today, indeed, to show how this partnership works and is needed at all different levels. So thank you very much also to the colleagues of RTD and DG Mare for being with us and for the very important, let's say, points that they showed, indeed an important overview of what is happening at more, let's say, institutional level. Of course, we are daily partners, and all this work is brought, let's say, forward together. And indeed, it's only through this sort of systemic approach that we believe an impact indeed can be achieved on this matter. I have a presentation which I would like actually to show. I will show indeed to be able to follow the developments on our end. I hope you can see the presentation.
Yes, we can see.
Here we go. So on our side, let me recall that over the past, let's say, 2 years, I mean, just up to yesterday, we had 3 very important UFM ministerial declarations. One on sustainable blue economy, which was mentioned by my colleague Eleni. It was adopted in February 2021. Indeed, for the first time ever, we have a dedicated session to marine litter. And this very operational group that is working, which is indeed made up of focal points and a broad range of stakeholders, is has indeed a very important characteristic, which is the one of being multi-sectorial. So we have all the countries, the UFM, 42 UFM countries represented according to their own priorities, meaning that the intersectorialities immediately go with it. Then we had the Ministerial on Environment and Climate Action approved in October 2021 in Cairo, a very important one in the sense that, of course, contextualize marine litter within the broader, let's say, approach to green circular economy. And another one, which it's really a great pleasure to mention, it's the first UFM Ministerial on Research and Innovation that was just approved yesterday, where, of course, I mean, all the programs mentioned also by the colleague of DG RTD, so Claudio Pecoraro, are indeed embedded. Indeed, the mission and the Mediterranean Lighthouse are part of this very important piece of decision. As far as the second UFM Ministerial on Blue Economy, it was already mentioned by Eleni. It was a groundbreaking ministerial declaration because differently from 2015, when still this partnership around blue economy, sustainable blue economy was launched. So the expansions of the areas of cooperation of the 42 countries through all these different priorities. And of course, I mean, marine litter can be looked at as the issue per se, but of course has to be contextualized within green circular economy, interaction between land and sea, you know, all the, let's say, related economic impacts it produces on the region. So we tried through this ministerial declaration to have this multi-sectorial approach. Then, in parallel, we had also the approval of the UFM post-2020 agenda, as I said, the Ministerial Environment and Climate Change. It has a dedicated greener med agenda. These are the 3 main axes. The first axis is on green circular economy transition, which will launch in 2014 with the Mediterranean countries. And before that, SDGs were approved. And it's, of course, advancing as main axis of work, in particular, played around sustainable consumption and production. resource efficiency, and nature-based solution. Then there is a dedicated axis on pollution on land, sea, and air. And of course, as far as sea is concerned, the targets mentioned by the colleagues of RTD are those that we expect to absorb and work for also through these thematic axes. And then the third, which is more dedicated, of course, to biodiversity loss and ecosystem restoration. So as you can see, Marine Litter is transversal and of course related to the three main axes. So as I said before, with a circular economy approach, looking at the impacts that of course marine litter itself generates on economic sectors, being that fishing, aquaculture itself, tourism, as it was just mentioned. We focus on activities related to monitoring and mitigation, and of course the colleagues of the University of Siena, of course Professor Fossi, who is one of the most known experts not only in the Mediterranean but worldwide on marine litter, will indeed go more in detail. We look also through other initiatives and projects at ensuring, this land-sea interface. So ensuring that even if for operational reason we have to look at marine litter, we can through also other partnership look at the wider issues related to plastics and indeed, last but not least, the impacts on biodiversity itself. As for the UFM Ministerial Declaration Sustainable Blue Economy, we have a dedicated roadmap that was set up, which also will constitute the baseline of our work. And the same happens also with the Ministerial Declaration on Environment and Climate Change. And of course, within also the integrated work with DG RTD and DG Mare, we have been trying actually to harmonize this baseline so as to make sure that the achievements by 2030 can all stay aligned. Let me go now to how, let's say, operationally all this has been translated into concrete action. Let's say already when Plastic Busters, let's say, was launched now quite many years ago, there was this urgent issue to tackle the more operational terms, the marine litter problems. In this respect, we would like to thank you very much our partner program, which are indeed the Interreg Med and the CBC AnyMed, for being extremely receptive to this call for urgency. Through, of course, competitive procedures still, but three important projects have been approved, have been financed, which finally have been creating a backbone of activity and a process all along, let's say, the Mediterranean. A process that has first been focused on the northern Mediterranean countries and the western and the Eastern Mediterranean countries, and then progressively, let's say, expanded to the countries of the South. I mean, it's clear that this is a joint problem, and of course, as such, it needs to be tackled at all levels. So we had first Plastic Busters MPA approved and now just finished with an important policy paper being just released, which is a living paper, namely the policy recommendation emerging from the policy paper are constantly being, let's say, fine-tuned and backed, let's say, with the evidence-based information. Then we had the first, let's say, sort of Plastic Buster project called Common, approved with the involvement of the countries of the South and financed by CBC Med. And then just recently, and I will not go in details, as my colleagues, the speakers that will follow will go into it, we have Plastic Busters Cup, which is a full, let's say, capitalization of the actions carried out so far in the countries of the Southern Med, as indicated by the slide. This is actually the policy paper. This is available online. Very recently, Plastic Busters MPA has been disclosing very important, let's say, data, which are the basis for relevant and related decision-making recommendations. So the policy paper is going to be, let's say, updated with these important but key information in the very coming months. This is just to give you a flavor of how we at UFM have been trying actually to put all these important, let's say, partnership together. Again, this is work in progress, so this is just a series of, let's say, links that we have recommended actually to Plastic Busters to establish over time, and that's why the relevance of the results have been acknowledged by a broad range of the stakeholders, including the Barcelona Convention, as the Plastic Buster project directly support the implementation of the Marine Litter Action Plan. To conclude, I'd like actually to refer to the partnership that we have with the mission. It was already mentioned by the colleagues of DG Mare that we had a very important joint workshop to create a momentum around, let's say, the mission and the Mediterranean Lighthouse, but also to link, let's say, with the Blue Med initiative, which we supported at all levels, both regional and national, over the past years. The very important, let's say, element and the very important strategic approach decided from then onwards is to put together indeed the three communities related to research, blue economy, and environment as far as marine litter is concerned, and to work, let's say, as one. We were, as UFM, at the very recent launch of the Mediterranean Lighthouse on marine pollution in Marseille, and indeed our ambassador, our representative will be present at the launch of the charter as indicated by Claudia Pecoraro. In terms of follow-up, of course, we are following up on the UNEA decisions, so very important international agreement on plastic. Also, of course, to the second round of the negotiations related to the biodiversity framework within COP15. And let's say in relation to COP27, and of course, I mean, climate change, which will take place in a Mediterranean country in Egypt this year in November, the UFM has been promoting actually the setting up of a Mediterranean pavilion where all the different, let's say, partners, stakeholders can indeed gather together and showcase what the Mediterranean has been able to achieve through this close partnership over the years. And we are convinced that indeed the Mediterranean is also an example for other regions of the world, and indeed a champion, despite, of course, the enormous challenges that the region is facing. That's all on my side, and thank you very much to all the colleagues and partners that are online following this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Alessandra. Thank you, Alessandra. Now I give the floor to Vincent Ternot, from the coordinator of Western Mediterranean from NECBC Med program. And I want just to say that thanks to this program, now as Legambiente, we are leading an important project at the Mediterranean level that is called Common, that is a coastal management and monitoring network for taking marine litter. And I think that it's a very important project because this project is engaging from Italy, Tunisia, and Lebanon. We are engaging 70 local public authorities, 100 general public schools and local NGOs. We are involved with 35 fishermen, port authorities, and cooperatives, 30 turtle rescue centers, and 240 tourist operators. So just to say that this program I think is a very important European program because thanks to this program, it's possible for NGOs and other subjects, scientific subject and our administration to realize this network activity that is very important in Mediterranean level. So this is thanks to this program, and I give the floor to Vincent Terno.
Thank you very much, Giorgio, and good morning, everyone from Athens, where we are having our joint monitoring committee of this beautiful program. Thank you for thanking us, Giorgio. I have to say that we are also very, very happy with you. I think when we launch a call for proposal, you are the kind of partners, even the fisheries that we want, that we almost dream about, because you provide good results and you don't give us problems. So everything perfect. You know that ENI, a CBC program, is about one thing: cooperation. Of course, Mediterranean cooperation, and cooperation can be applied in almost any topic in the Mediterranean. But if there is one that is clearly shared by everybody, it's the protection of the sea, because we share the same sea. And if we throw plastics in here, for example, in Athens, maybe one day when I'm swimming in Valencia, I will find that single plastic. So everything that we do somewhere can have consequences somewhere else. And if we do something very, very good in some regions and our regions do nothing, we're still in the same place as ever. So we really have to act together, and I think that this program is one of the perfect place to do this. How do we do it? Of course, you have a good example with you today, with Legambiente, with the University of Siena, Union for the Mediterranean, putting them all together, building up this wonderful project, which is common, which is one of our best standard projects that has achieved so much, and they have done so much to raise awareness on the importance of fighting marine litter, raising awareness among the general people, but also among the youth, among kids, information campaigns. So it's very, very heavy work. And then we have Plastic Bastards Cap, which is the child of this project, and the other parent of this child would be the MET program, and also probably the Unit for the Mediterranean. So very good example of cooperation and capitalization. What we clearly, the value that we clearly can bring at our level, because we are a program, we are ambitious, but we are still a single program with a bit more than 240 million. So far we're at 210 million. I'll talk about the next program afterwards, but we are quite limited, so we cannot do everything, but we can surely have important added value. And especially I'm thinking of using probably our most powerful tool that we have at our disposal, which is the power of cooperation. And the power of cooperation is our intangible and number one result, because we're not a thematic program, we are a cooperation program. And we can use, and that's what Common and the other projects do, we can use this power to make cooperation really happen in the Mediterranean, in all fields, but in this particular field too. Meaning that from the bottom, because we've seen we've listened to Alessandra, of course, Unit for the Mediterranean. You work more at a higher level than we do. In some way, we also work from top down, but not that much. Really, our big added value is that we work bottom up and we reach people. So when we make sure that a project like Common is making cooperation happen at the bottom and is reaching the final beneficiaries, the people that we really want to address. I mean, in your case, all these people that you have trained, all these people that you have raised their awareness, this is really where we can act. And of course, we can also act at local level, at regional level, by empowering your results or by integrating your results in the local plans or regional plans. And that is, of course, one of our other big added value, strengthening coordination between regions in terms of fighting marine litter and making sure that we are much more coordinated than before. We've started from almost nowhere because we had not much about plastics in the previous program. Now we had you, so we were very happy. And in the next MET program, you know that ENI CBC MET program will be called, or is already called, though not approved yet, an Interact Next MET program. And we will start launching calls for proposals in 2023, probably first semester of 23. And there we really hope, we are sure, we don't hope, we're sure that there will be space, there will be room for you, all of you that have brilliant ideas to give continuity to this type of projects and initiative in the new program, in almost any of the 9 specific objectives that will have the program. I'm not going to talk about these objectives in details. Of course, if you are interested, I can send you any type of presentation, but we'll have 4 strategic objectives, 9 specific objectives, and except maybe 1 or 2 which are too far away from protection of the environment, you will be able, especially with a bit of imagination, and I know that you have it, you will be able to find a place to get those funds that you really need and that you deserve to give continuity to this type of ideas. And we are still let's say, giving the last touch to the program, but it's almost, we can consider it as almost approved. It will be approved by the end of the year, and next year we will be strong again together with you, all the states, or big partners like the Union for the Mediterranean and the MET program, because of course we have to be sure that we are in synergy, not only words, but really acting together and being strong together. So I think you have a bit less than 1 year now to make your proposals ready. And it's not much, you know that time goes very quickly, and you have to think about it now. I'm sure you will have very, very good ideas. Thank you very much, and I will stay with you at least for 15 minutes, extra minutes, then I will have to leave. Any question, of course, feel free. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vincent, for your intervention. Now I give the floor to Francesca Marcato, that is project manager at European level for Interreg Med program. Also, this European program, Interreg Med, is very important. This is the program in which University of Siena is working on Plastic Busters and Plastic Busters MPA. That is another very important project at the Mediterranean level. And also this project aim to build a network, and Common and Plastic Busters are working together to build this very widespread network at the Mediterranean level. So thanks to Francesca to enter this program.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. It's really a pleasure to take part to your side event and to be with you. I would just like to provide you some information on the contribution of the Interreg Med program to the provision of solution against marine litter. Let's say that the program in the last years has addressed a specific attention on marine litter under their priority on biodiversity protection. And approximately an allocation of 8 million of RDF funds have been allocated to project to deal with marine litter. I would like to mention some projects that we had with some good example of results, as for example, Act for Litter, Amare, Medicilitter, and of course one relevant project mentioned also by you, Plastic Buster MPA's project, that represents for the program a flagship project on this topic. thanks to the wide partnership involved, able also to ensure this science policy dialogue, but also thanks to the implementation of harmonized monitoring approaches and concrete actions to mitigate marine litter in line with Barcelona Convention and European Union advances. Important for us also the continuation of this project. We give really importance to the sustainability of our projects, and for us, the fact that Plastivasser MPA's project and other projects also have been upscaled and have been found continuity within other European programs, it's really relevant for us. What the next, or anyway, what the future and also the present, under the new Interreg Euromed program, marine litter, but let's say more in general, the plastic remain an important priority. It will be transversal to different specific objectives of the program. In fact, this topic of plastic will be tackled under different angles. For example, the circular economy priority, trying to promote circularity, sustainability of products, and also production systems, but also practices for waste reduction, taking into account also the sustainable tourism sector. But also we will give importance to the capacity building activities addressed to public authorities in the development and adoption of strategies for the transition to circular economy. And plastic will be also tackled under the angle of the protection of natural resources, with the aim to reduce the pollution at land and sea, including plastic polluted environments. We will support the restoration of degraded ecosystem, and we will really pay attention on the interaction between land and sea. And let's mention that plastic will be also tackled under climate change priority, trying to support the prevention and management of disaster risk, but also improving governance, monitoring systems, and the monitoring of impact of multi-stressors on environment, including, of course, plastic. So, as you can see, the approach of the program towards the plastic issue will be transversal to the different priorities. This will allow also a higher allocation, more allocation of financial budget than before. And also will be an important attention will be also addressed to the awareness raising actions towards citizens, really pushing for a change of behavior and adaptation of more sustainable behavior with also promotion of citizen science approaches. Finally, but extremely important, as also mentioned until now, the coordination and agreements that we have with other initiatives and European programs, Union for Mediterranean, the coordination and cooperation, constant cooperation, WestMed, and ECBC program. Now we are working together also to participate on the COP27, but also other cross-borders programs, also DG Mare. It's really important, this coordination, to ensure an harmonization of approaches among the Mediterranean regions, but also exchange of information on project results, but also consultation. We will consult these key stakeholders before the opening of the call for proposal to define together the priorities to be funded. So with the spirit of cooperation, and considering that our program covers mainly the north shore of Mediterranean, we are working closely with those initiatives and programs in order to ensure also and create a link with the South Mediterranean, allowing the participation of beneficiaries coming from the South to actions promoted by the program. So these are the main actions that the program is promoting. We'll deal with the marine litter and mainly, let's say in general terms, plastic challenge. I just would like to close my intervention, informing you that we have just opening the second call for proposal. It's a call for proposal addressed to all the priorities of the program, and this call will be open until end of October. So all the information are provided in our Euromed program website. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you, Francesca. So now we're going to prepare some interesting proposals for the next program. Okay, now we open the second session that is about science and research about marine litter. And for this session, I give the floor to Elisa Scolchera, that is the head of our activities on marine litter for Legambiente at the international level. So, Elisa, I'll give you the floor, and then we can continue with the other speeches.
Thank you, Giorgio, and thanks to all the speakers of the first session for the very interesting contribution and opportunities for the next future. I don't want to store some time to the next two speakers. I just want to underline the importance of the scientific activities that we want, of course, to underline in this side event. Yesterday, in the first interactive dialogue on marine pollution, there was this professor of ecology of the University of Sao Paulo in Brazil, Alexander Turra, that said that action starts from science. And this sentence was very powerful to me, so I want to I would like to share it with you. And this is also my thought, that also the mission of Legambiente is this, so starting from science to raise awareness and try to change things, to have real changes also from an administrative and normative point of view. I just repeat that if you have some question or some observation, you can write on the chat, but we are running out of time, so I give the floor to Maria Cristina Cossi, and I don't need, I think, to say anything more because she's very known, and that's it.
Okay, Christina, I think that you can start. Perhaps we have lost the line with Elisa. So
okay, so thank you very much. Do you hear me? Do you see my?
Yes.
Yes, very well.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the very kind word of Elisa. And I would like just to say that for me today is extremely great pleasure to be here because I think the dream that we have in the last 10 years, and they call Plastic Buster Dreamers, our idea is really realized because we are able to join together, even in this side event, the main actors at Mediterranean level, working and thinking that in order to achieve some goal, we have to work in harmony and in networking. And I strongly believe that the result that we obtain in the last years will really improve very much, not only the science, but the support in terms of awareness rising, and particularly in supporting governance in order to reduce the impact of marine litter in Mediterranean Sea. As you know, I'm a essentially a scientist, and I have devoted part of my life try to understand the impact of human activity on marine biodiversity. And today I have the great honor and pleasure to present some of the main results that we obtained in the last years, particularly on the Plastic Buster initiative, focusing mainly on the Plastic Buster MPAs project that Francesca mentioned just right before. And I have also the great pleasure to present some of the other main activity that we have on the project in terms of mitigation action, taking the floor from my friend and colleague, Tommy Vlachogianni, that at the moment she apologized, but attending to the Marine Strategy Framework meeting in Croatia. So she is very active, but it cannot be in on the same time in two places. So she gave me this opportunity. Do you see my presentation? See, okay. And so, as mentioned before from my friends and colleagues, we know that the Mediterranean Sea is one of the hotspots of biodiversity at oceanic level, and we have mentioned also during this conference yesterday. But we know also that the Mediterranean Sea is one of the most affected sea worldwide on the impact of marine litter. So the concentration of marine litter microplastic in the Mediterranean Sea is almost on the same level of the 5 oceanic gyres. So one of the main goals is try to understand as scientists what can be the impact of this marine litter on Mediterranean biodiversity. But we know firmly also that in order to have a kind of harmonization data in terms of Mediterranean level, and then in order to transform this diagnosis on specific mitigation action, we need to work at basin level. And I think all the activity that we have done in the last 5 years with the Legambiente and other important colleagues and institutions that are today with us are really in line with this thing. And as you know, I like to show very much this slide, this video that I have already shown several times, but I think it's very empathic. So here we have one of the most charismatic animals that is in the Mediterranean Sea. And but as you see, that charismatic animals living in one of the most impacted area worldwide. So they are swimming in a water in the Pelago Sanctuary completely full of plastic. So that is, as I mentioned, the idea of starting our story that we like to call Plastic Buster Initiative, with a strong, extremely important support from the beginning from Union for Mediterranean, and the idea that we generate in 2013 under the umbrella of the United Nations. So here we are in the right place to talk about this, is the first idea to binding together the North and the South Mediterranean country in a kind of circular approach, starting from the diagnosis to the mitigation, to the support of the governance, in order to tackle the problem of marine litter Mediterranean Sea. And the project, as mentioned, will start with the support of STS and MED, so the Agenda 2020 at the moment, then 2030, and with the support of Jeffrey Sachs at the beginning. So it's very important to mention this concept again. But a strategic action was generated in the last year, starting from 2016 from Union for Mediterranean. So I personally would like to pass my great thanks to Union for Mediterranean, particularly to our colleagues and friends, Alessandra Sensi, that strongly believe in our dream until the beginning. Extremely important phase in this evolution and odyssey of this Plastic Buster Initiative was represent for the first large project support from the European Commission, from the Interreg Med, as mentioned from Francesca before, with the Med Interreg, Plastic Buster MPAs, and I will today show the main achievement of that, but the main goal was binding together the strategy in not only at European level, but mostly on the south of the Med, especially with the two initiatives that we have already talked today, the Common Project and the newborn Plastic Buster Cup. So that is a story was concerning the Plastic Buster MPAs, started from the idea that in order to conserve biodiversity at Mediterranean level, we have to focus a lot of the attention on the marine protected area. We have more than 1,000 large marine protected area in Mediterranean Sea, and we know also that these marine protected area are heavily exposed to the impact of marine litter. So that idea was the concept that start in 2018 when we present the Plastic Buster MPAs initiative. As you know, this is a very large project involving 15 partners and 17 associate partners, with the idea that is one of the concepts of this side event, to join the science policy interface and awareness rising. And we really think that was we have achieved this concept. I would like just to show some main novelty of the project and the main achievement that we obtained, both in terms of monitoring and in terms of mitigation. So as probably we know, the Plastic Buster MPAs is one of the first projects that covered the entire management cycle of marine litter, starting from the diagnosis of the problem with the application of an harmonized monitoring approach, moving from a special measure detect to reduce the impact of marine litter in the marine protected area, all the achievement need to use in terms to supporting the main governance action that we have at Mediterranean level, in terms of Union for Mediterranean network, in terms of marine strategy framework and Barcelona Convention, but also to support a correct awareness rising that we think, especially in this side of the side event of the Ocean Conference, can be extremely important. Just to give you some idea of the strategy that we adopt in the project, as mentioned before, the two main words, the key pillars are the diagnosis and mitigation. So in the first phase of the project that we call testing phase, we have applied this new approach in 4 different spammy and marine protected area characterized by different dimension. That is another very important aspect. In this area, we do a complete diagnosis in terms of environment impact and impact on biodiversity. From this diagnostic phase, we design specific mitigation action in order to reduce the impact of marine litter that we have detected in the area. And I think starting from the first phase of monitoring activity is extremely important to emphasize how the harmonizing monitoring approach can be important, not only at European level, but at the basin scale. Because when you obtain data, so you produce scientific data, is essential that you can compare with the result of other researchers, scientists obtained in the other part of the basin. So that is one of the goals of Plastic Buster MPAs that we strongly believe will be implemented in common in Plastic Buster Cup. And extremely important novelty of the project is the first project at Mediterranean level that have applied the new joint list to define the nature and the sources of marine litter on beaches. And this is again another extremely important novelty that we obtain in the project, and we really hope to can transfer on the south of Mediterranean Sea. Just to come to some numbers, because as scientist I need to express myself in numbers and in achievement. As mentioned before, in the testing phase, we have tried to apply this new, the harmonized methodological approach that I would like to underline, coming from a basing of the marine strategy framework and the IMAP indicator with some implementation. We have applied the techniques in 4 different marine protected areas, characterized by different dimensions. We have a small-scale MPAs such as Zakynthos in Greece and Cabrera in the Balearic Island, a medium-scale MPAs that is the Tuscan archipelago, that is one of the largest MPA in the Med, and finally one, the area that is more close to my heart, that is the large SPAMI that we have in the Mediterranean Sea, that is the Pelago Sanctuary, or well known as Marine Mammals Sanctuary. The very interesting data and a very pharaonic activity that we realized in the project, we performed the identical analysis as monitoring approach in the different marine protected area in the testing phase, and then in other 7 marine protected area in the transferring phase, obtain a huge number of samples, as you can see here. But the most important aspect is that we have monitored the different environments. So we have monitored macro and microliter on the sea surface, the macro and microliter on the beaches, the macro and microliter on the sediment, and using also ROV technology. What we obtained, just to have some hotspot data, that is very, I think, interesting data, but even very dramatic, the observation. All the marine protected area detect in the testing phase show concentration of marine litter on beaches several times higher than the threshold level suggested from the marine strategy framework. As you know, probably the threshold level is 20 items from 100 straight 100 meters. And in some area, we have level that is 2 orders of magnitude higher than this limit. That is a clear sign that the marine protected area are protected in terms of activity of manager that work in there, but not protected in terms of Mediterranean circulation of marine litter. And I think is very important key message that we have. In the same approach, we are also able, applying the new joint list of marine litter, define the main category of marine litter detected all around the marine protected area. And what we found, again, that in the top 10 category, the most important material are coming from SUP, so single plastic use. So again, the strategy applied from the marine strategy, from the European Commission is extremely important in order to reduce this impact. Just to give some data. But one other very important aspect that I would like to underline, we define the different environmental compartments that we monitor in the marine protected area of the testing phase. We produce a kind of impact score in the different compartments, ranging from the green one, the less impacted, to the red one, the most important one. And surprisingly, the most impacted in terms of marine litter in the different compartments are the less anthropized marine protected area analyzed, so the Cabrera National Park. So what is, again, the message is extremely clear. Even the activity of mitigation of marine litter in the area is extremely high. The global circulation around the Mediterranean Sea is so heavy that even a lot of environmental compartments are strongly impacted of marine litter. So that can be to take in consideration for future activity of monitoring and mitigation at basin scale. But as ecologists and ecotoxicologists, the main goal that we try to achieve in the project is also to define the potential impact on biodiversity. So we are able to define some risk map around the different marine protected area. Here we report the very interesting data obtained in the Pelago Sanctuary. But as we know, for example, this area is one of the heart of biodiversity of Mediterranean Sea, and definitely we need to know what are the impact on the species living in the area, and particularly the charismatic indicator as marine mammals. In order to achieve this goal, we develop, and here I will say a great novelty of the project, a new harmonized diagnostic approach to detect the impact of marine litter, marine biodiversity. Hence, again, all the partners work the same language of science. So we work on the same approach that are characterized to main novelty. The first novelty is we don't focus in this project only on one bioindicator species as proposed from the Marine Strategy Framework and IMAP indicator that we know is caretta caretta, but apart of this species, we strongly believe, and we think we have a really influence with this new idea, these two pillars at Mediterranean level, to use a multiple species approach. So the idea, if you want to define the impact on biodiversity, you have to detect the impact on species characterized by different home range, ranging from local scale bioindicators, such as, for example, mussel, to basin scale bioindicators, such as the charismatic indicator as the fin whale, and even to work on different environments, ranging from sea surface to sea floor and coastal line. Apply this new approach, we also improve in terms of monitoring, in terms of science, using a more concrete diagnosis of the impact on biodiversity, both on environmental relevant species and on endangered species, using what we call a threefold monitoring approach, in which apart the detection of the presence of macro and macro litter in the gastrointestinal tract of the marine organism, that is the conventional methodology suggest from Marine Strategy Framework Directive and IMAP indicator, we add other two levels. The first level is to detect the potential transfer of chemicals from the plastic to the tissues. And the second one, the most, I say, complex and evolved one, is to define the toxicological effect, measuring different endpoints that we call biomarker, or in some new omics techniques, in order to define the complete health status of the candidate indicator that we propose. And what are some of the results? Some of the results is just to show you that in the 4 marine protected area of testing, we have proposed and analyzed 44 different bioindicator species, ranging from invertebrates to marine mammals, collecting with the different techniques, especially non-lethal techniques, more than 2,000 different organisms, and we achieve a very interesting result. Just to show you some of the basic one, in the 44 species analyzed, in more than 98%, we detect the presence of macro or microplastic in the gastrointestinal tissues. So that means that the biodiversity in Mediterranean Sea is highly impact of the presence of marine litter, and most of the species can be proposed as new candidate bioindicator to monitor the presence and the impact of marine litter in the Mediterranean Sea. But we want to go forward, and as expressed before, the approach that we have developed are different degree of specialization. And so we propose the application of basic level of analysis, such as the plastic detection in the gastrointestinal tract, but even the most specialized activities, such as the measure of contaminants and biomarker, that are successfully applied for all the partners working on plastic buster MPAs, so are not techniques that are coming from the moon. Is at the end easily applicable, and even for the common project, we are doing the same. And it just on basic level, what we obtain is a very interesting overlapping from the data on the contamination on the environment. For example, the presence of macro and microliter on the water, and the potential effect on the organism. Here we report the data of one candidate bioindicator, that is the red mallet Mulus surmuletus, in which you can see that the presence of litter in the water is related to the increasing of the ingestion of macroliter for the bioindicator organism, or even the increasing of concentration of plastic additive. So this is a very easy stuff that you can do, and confirming how bioindicator can reflect the contamination in the field. But what we like is also to support more precise analysis, especially on endangered species that are the heart of biodiversity of Mediterranean Sea. And here we show, I have the pleasure to show you some of the first results worldwide obtained on marine mammals living in the Pelago Sanctuary, in which for the first time we analyzed the gastrointestinal tract of several species, stranded organisms, on the Pelago Sanctuary, and we almost detect the presence of microplastic in all the analyzed species, and the most exposed one is the filter feeder species, the Balenottera physalus, so the larger filter feeder in the Med. And on the scientific point of view, because from science, we need to start for express the problem at global scale, we apply for the first time worldwide one new techniques that we call metabolomic, that reflect the complete disorder in terms of metabolomic profile on the fin whale living in Mediterranean Sea. And here we compare the metabolomic profile of the whale living in the Pelago Sanctuary with the metabolomic profile of other whales, the cousin, living in a clean environment, the Sea of Cortex. So from science, we inform also that some species that we need to study in order to conserve biodiversity are also a very well signal of the potential exposure in a dead-tier basin. And just rapidly, we have detected for the first time the presence of microplastic also in other charismatic species such as Mobula mobula, and very dramatic data are obtained for the first time on other potential candidate species such as seabirds, the Colinectris diomedea, in which we, in a stranded organism, we have found more than 250 microplastic ingested. So the biodiversity is strongly exposed. But one of the final goals of this monitoring activity is to give an overlapping risk map of what happened in the different marine protected area. And here I will show you one of the first data that we obtained, in which we overlapping the concentration of macroplastic detected in the Pelago Sanctuary with the presence of species in the area. And we see that there is a lot of risk area from the different species ranging from the fin whale to birds. That is a very important signal in order to define the sensitive area for the species in the protected areas such as the Spami Pelago Sanctuary. So this is all the science that we obtain in a very synthetic way from the plastic buster MPAs, and the science need be to transfer as much as possible at different levels. So during the project, we have done a transferring with the manager of the marine protected area working in the project. But I would like just to announce that the transferring of this methodology will be done in the next 2 weeks in Manfredonia with event supported from Lega Ambiente and University University of Siena, in which part of this methodology will be transferred to the partner of the South from common and plastic buster cup. And we have the pleasure also to have Alessandra with us during this transferring phase. And this is a very important starting phase of this transferring activity. But as we know, the very massive transferring activity of all these activity in the South Mediterranean country that we start now, but we hope to continue with the new opportunity presented from Euromed and from NECBC, starting with the common project and plastic buster cup. So that is my message, that we need to work on the same language at Mediterranean level. And so we have learned a lot from this project. We have learned that we need to monitor the impact on the environment, on biota, in order to really design a specific action, in order to monitor different environment, in order to define a hotspot, in order to define the threshold level and how the marine protected areas far away from these. But we have to improve a lot also in terms of strategy at Mediterranean level to use a new bioindicator, new methodology, detect the impact of endangered species. And this is essential in order to define specific mitigation action in the basin. So that is my take-home message concerning my side of the intervention, concerning the science for monitoring. And now I have the pleasure to show the slide produced from my friends and colleague, Tommy Vlacogianni, concerning the mitigation action, because all the diagnosis that we realize in the plastic buster MPAs can be transformed in mitigation action. And so I take the floor from Tommy, from this last part of my presentation, in which we describe how is the strategy that we apply in the project in order to define mitigation action. So the approach is, as mentioned before, we starting to detecting the problem, understand the nature of the different marine pollution that we found in the area, and identify possible solution and selecting solution in order to reduce the impact on the specific area. That is coming, as mentioned also from Francesca Marcato in the intervention, from the interaction with other important projects support from MedInteract, such as Act for Litter, in which our colleagues have identified more than 150 best practices. And in the project, Plastic Buster MPAs, we have identified several specific actions to be realized in 10 MPA from testing, 5 MPA from replication, and the 4 measures that we apply, implement in the project are reported here: the reduction of SAPs, the development or awareness rising, that is a very important concept, and the fishing gear and the other activities. So very briefly here we have the implementation of the activity. Several are reported here. For you that are more interested in this part, you can check the website of Plastic Buster MPAs. And a lot of these activities are really implemented in a very successful way. And what we believe that also for the mitigation action that will be important to support the Marine Strategy Framework Directive, the Union for Mediterranean Working Group of Environment and Blue Economy, and finally the Barcelona Convention. My take-home message is, as mentioned from Alessandra before, is the idea and the dream to transfer all this global strategy as the whole Mediterranean basis. And I would like just to spend a few words saying that I have already mentioned from Alessandra, we have produced under the umbrella of Union for Mediterranean this very important policy paper. And I would like to say that a very important concept is we are moving forward in new Mediterranean marine protected area and coastal sea area, with englobing in our future idea a concept that I think is extremely important, the multiple stress concept. We have not only to work in reduction of marine litter, but we have to thinking in terms of the zero pollution at Mediterranean level, so linking the problem of chemical pollution with the marine litter. And I would like just to thanks to all the marvelous partners that have worked with us for this adventure, and thank you very much all for your attention.
So thank you, Cristina, for the interesting results shown and also the very interesting and important message. And I would like to give the floor to our last but not least speakers, Sana Ben Ismail from the Institut National de Sciences et Technologies de la Mer of Tunisia. This is a very important intervention for us for two main reasons, because she will speak about the interface between science and policy, but also because she's the voice of the south of Mediterranean, that we have to involve in all these processes. So thank you, Sana, to be here also this time, and I give you the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Elisa. I will share my screen with you, my presentation. Hope. Sorry.
Any problem? At the bottom of the screen?
Yes, I do it, but I don't know why I didn't find it. Show me.
There is something in written, share your screen with an arrow.
Yes, but I didn't see my it's not that. Are you able to see? Are you able to see? Thank you. So
we see all in black, but I think
it's a full screen or not? Not.
We see a black screen
now.
I see always a black screen. Try to do it again.
It's okay now or not? I do it again.
No, we cannot see.
I don't know why I'm in suspended the way. Okay. I don't know why it's. I will repeat it again. Now it's okay?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, so hello everybody. I'm very glad to participate with the Union of Mediterranean, Le Gambien and the University of Siena to this important side event with the aim to raise the awareness about the importance of science policy interface for the ocean governance at all levels, and also for the and lead for the understanding of the role of citizen science, the importance of the role of citizen science, and as well as local knowledge. And we work on this with the common project. In fact, why we are here today, it's just I start with a brief introduction of our institute, National Institute of Marine Science and Technology. Technologies is a widespread research center in Tunisia, founded in 1924, focused on all marine science and technology along Tunisian coast and in Mediterranean Sea. I'm also a marine scientist within this institute and the coordinator of two NECBC Med project, Common and Plastic Buster project. So we are all here because we see that human activities are reconfigured here at all levels, and we are speaking about ocean today. So only 3% of the ocean can be described as free from human pressure. And we are also with another numbers that more than 33% of marine mammals are threatened by extinction due to the human activity. And we are now focusing on the plastic because due to release of this material, our planet is become a planet of plastic. And today,
Sana, we are still in seeing the first slide.
It's really...
Try to go in the presentation mode.
I'm in the presentation mode and it's running for me.
No, we are just seeing not in presentation and the first slide.
Sorry for that. I don't understand. It's the same. Now it's okay. You could see it.
Yeah, now we can see that it's scrolling. Yes, Sana. It's not
so
in full screen, but it's
not.
okay.
Yes, I will keep it not on full size if you
okay.
accept, because
okay,
I don't
have the... We're interrupting
so you don't see any slide. Okay, I'm sorry, but so just we are. I'm here. So we are all here because we would like to find solution to the plastic problem, and our planet it's become a planet of plastic because of irresponsible use and the release into nature of the plastic products. So today, an estimate 8 million tons of waste arrives in the ocean each year. And globally, about 3/4 of the composition of anthropogenic marine litter is plastic. So, and at the UN environment, we specify more than 500 dead zones in the global ocean, and Mediterranean is the most affected sea by the plastic pollution, with approximately 229,000 tons of plastic dumped into the sea each year, and more than 40% of total waste represent accumulated plastic waste. For Tunisia, we are at the 6th position of a waste production, with only 4% of recycled material. This why this important, this number, because to understand the impact and the huge alarming situation that we are facing now in Mediterranean, because we are reaching a record level of microplastic, given that there is concentration is 4 times higher than in the 7 continents, and it's published in the last WWF report. Also, the microplastics, because of their small size, are passing into, as Christina showed, in the all living spaces, from the smallest, such as zooplankton, to the largest, such as whales, can ingest microplastic. So for me and our team in INSTM, we start fighting this problem with Claim H2020 consortium when we work on innovative solution to tackle marine litter, and INSTM team installed a new device filtering filtering system for high frequency microplastic observation in Mediterranean Sea, and it was installed on the ferry box installed on our ferry Carthage between Tunisia and Marseille, and Tunisia and Gênes. And also we conduct the first monitoring in the hotspot Gulf of Gabes in South Mediterranean Sea. And the two first publication appears this year. I'm sorry for the sound. I'm sorry. So we could, I could not show all, but there is two publications. One for the Mediterranean level with a comparison of models results, and the other one focused on the Gulf of Gabes, Southern Mediterranean Sea, and we found that there is a very high concentration of microplastic in seawater and less on the biota. So within common project, we go more on the local transferring of the knowledge. I'm sorry, because my baby is disturbing. We work on enhancing capacity of public authority in monitoring and to boost citizen participation. And why is involvement of in each pilot area of different stakeholders that have been involved and that participate to the workshop, to the citizen activities in our pilot area, and we work with them on many aspects of transferring this scientific activities or knowledge about tackling marine litter by using an integrated coastal zone management model approach in the local decision-making process. And within the project also, we foreseen for the creation of a permanent network of coastal cities working on marine litter issue. So we also involve fishermen that we encourage them to conduct fishing for litter activities involved. They are also involved in training, in rising events, awareness events that we conduct. And also they are cooperating with all turtle rescue center for enhancing and saving, enhancing the save of marine turtle and participate to the annual monitoring program. Also, as Legambiente say, there is the main campaign that we enhance still the beginning of the project, which is a beach clean campaign. It's the third year that it started last 20th of June. And also Clean Up the Med campaign, which is a major voluntary and awareness raising initiative that was promoted by the three last year by Common Project, and where INSTM is very involved because before and during the cleanup the Med, we ask to the volunteer to do also beach litter monitoring, and this is a citizen science activity aimed to collect of data about the waste found on the beaches, to get information on the quality, quantity, sources, and trends. And we use a standardized protocol to obtain this comparable data at a basin scale. This is very important because integrated science is very important in making a decision. So the volunteers have to count all the items found in the delimited area of 100 meters long, and then classify them following the specified list. And we have the platform of beach monitoring in our website of project, common project, when each volunteer or NGO could introduce the data that we will be shared with all the community. So also at the Tunisian level, we produce many posters and rising events with schools and fishermen, and we create a way to ludic way to transfer this knowledge to the young and to the local communities. And now we are focusing on another important activity within the science policy interface, which is the fourth report designed to the policymakers that we will produce by the end of the project, and where we would like to integrate scientific result, local knowledge, citizen science to build the recommendations based on this participatory approach within ICE integrated coastal zone management tool for new solution to tackle marine litter. And ENSTM as work package 4 is leading this activity. So please stay tuned to for this report, one at each country and one for the Mediterranean Sea by the end of this year. So the message that I would like to promote is the importance of South-North collaboration, the importance that we work together, transfer knowledge to local communities, not easy task, but as a scientist and as community, we should facilitate this. And this was possible thanks to the common project, thanks to NECBC Med program, and thanks also to the support of Union for Mediterranean, because now we are preparing a new phase, which is will come with the plastic buster capitalization project, and we will have more opportunity to focus on the solution and the mitigation of the problem together. So together it could be possible. Thank you very much, and I hope I was not so long. Thank you.
No, Sana, absolutely not. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you. I would like to thank all the speakers and all the participants to this side event. I think we do not have much time to the discussion question, and I'm so sorry for that, but I leave my my email on the chat, so if you want to ask something, you can contact me. I would like to give the floor for the last conclusion to Alessandra Sensi, that is a co-organizer of the event. And thank you again.
Many thanks to everybody. I mean, it was really an excellent opportunity to gather together and basically to build the way forward. The messages are very clear. We have been able, through all these activities, to build a partnership which is indeed outstanding, and is at the core of our future action. Indeed, it was mentioned by different speakers, the importance of collaboration, the importance of using the same language. Of course, I mean, we have also to fine-tune tools. There was a reference to bioindicators, methodology, in order indeed to define the upcoming mitigation measures, but definitely we are on the right track. The results that were shown were indeed specific to marine protected areas, but their validity, and this is an important point actually, the policy paper, it goes far beyond, so we are building on this. The new upcoming phase will have direct involvement and funding of Southern Med countries, so again, a new phase. We have shown the data as requested actually by our Palestinian colleague, also of you know, targets, thresholds, and you know, reference mechanism at the EU level, which however can be so agreed also, let's say, enlarged to other Mediterranean partners. I'd like also to conclude by referring to the fact that just recently the nature restoration law at EU level has been taking shape. This will be discussed also with the Council and Parliament in the coming months. So this is an important other piece of element to be kept in mind in our overall discussion. And if I can conclude with the message, what is important is that we have built the process, but of course, I mean, to ensure that the process is advancing, we need all these actions, all these projects as part of one. So we are making actually this mechanism moving and rolling with all your contributions. So thank you very much for being with us today. And we look forward actually to next opportunities. Special thanks, of course, to Legambiente and the University of Siena for organizing this important session as contribution to the UN Ocean Summit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, Alessandro.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Sana. Bye, little Sana.
Bye bye.
Ciao, Cristina.
Ciao.
Hope to see you next event. Bye. Thank you all. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Manda Alessandra.